have joined this organization. And we have a member of that whose name is Pat Lamb, and he just goes nuts on that particular program, and thousands of dollars every year get donated to that from our posts.
So I'm sure you're also looking for members in all of your, in your general membership, the SAL, the auxiliary.
We call it the Legion family. We have a spot for everybody. If you've served on active duty during wartime, then we would like you to be a member of the American Legion, a man or woman. And if you're a spouse or a daughter of a veteran who served, you're eligible to join the auxiliary. And a son or a grandson or stepson can join the SAL. So we have a spot for literally everyone.
So they could show up at one of your meeting nights and check it out.
They can show up. Our meeting nights are the meeting night for the Legion is the 4th Wednesday of the month. The meeting night for the auxiliary is the 3rd Wednesday of the month. And the meeting for the Sons of the American Legion is the 2nd Monday of the month. And yeah, they can show up at any time. And we're there 7 days a week. The post is open, and anybody can literally walk in from noon to noon and from noon to midnight and speak to somebody about joining any of those organizations and get the information.
And I think one of the things, in addition to service of veterans and the obvious things like Tony does and the welcoming the heroes, all of the veterans organizations have an impressive list of social activities. The DAV and the American Legion have a chapter home. Liquid refreshment is at a reasonable price. A lot of entertainment, a lot of imaginative things. One of the things the American Legion does, if you have children and grandchildren, they run a St. Patrick's Day. They run a Christmas party with Santa Claus and all kinds of things like that. And it's an incredibly useful function, and I think anyone out there who's listening to us who is a veteran and is eligible really drops the ball by not joining. You're cheating yourself and your family out of both practical things and just plain fun things.
We have transitioned over, I would say, the last 10 or 15 years. People have an idea of that the service veterans organizations are these old tattoo guys sitting around drinking stale beer, smoking cigarettes, and telling war stories. We do have people that tell war stories and that sort of thing, but we are much more service oriented, and that's all the veterans organizations, obviously, or Tony wouldn't be here doing the Marines helping Marines, and we wouldn't have our heroes to hometown. And we're
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, we're looking for new faces, obviously, and we have military families today have children. That's why we have a playground on our post. Now, the DAV home does not have the privilege of having the space to be able to do that. But it doesn't mean that, when you mentioned our Christmas party, that's actually a combined function of the DAV and the American Legion. It just happens to be at our post because we have the space to do that.
And the kitchen.
And the kitchen, that's correct. We have a kitchen.
But also to the Christmas party, the Marine Corps League is invited, and also the VFW children. It's just it was a combined venture by the American Legion and the DAV did that because there were so many people were the same ones. Instead of having two parties, we combined it into one.
That's correct.
And then we have it's open and also open to the children of the community and friends of the community. And it's normally the 2nd or 3rd Saturday in December, and we can get information out on that. But one thing I really wanted to say is how close the 4 organizations in Bowie, the American Legion, the DAV, the Marine Corps League, and the VFW, how close the 4 local organizations work together. We have a combined Memorial Day program and Veterans Day program, which will be coming up, and the VFW is in charge of this year. That'll be on November 11th. But like I say, we work so closely together, and it's really neat. And you beat me to the punch, JD, about the sitting around telling old stories, and I think that the public can hear that we have a lot going on as far as service programs, Wounded Warrior, the Heroes program, and if the Bowieyites really want to contribute to a worthwhile program, the American Legion and the Marine Corps League's Wounded program are 2 great. And just check the credits or give us a call, and we'll get the check to the appropriate place.
I'd like to give a little more insight on the Marines Helping Marines program. What I do here, I am the director for the East Coast operation for the Marines Helping Marines program. What I do here at Bethesda and Walter Reed, We have other people doing at Palo Alto, California, and the Brooks Army Base in San Antonio, the Wounded Warriors Barracks at Camp Lejeune, and in Camp Pendleton. Yeah, we go to visit the hospitals, but we, as Jerry mentioned, I spent a lot of time trying to raise funds for the program. Matter of fact, Friday I leave for Hartford, Connecticut for a fundraiser for the Marines Helping Marines program. So I hope to raise enough funds. When I rush back Sunday to start preparing for the cookout that I have to put on over at the hospital on Wednesday. A lunchtime cookout where we'll be cooking up 100 steaks, hamburgers, and hot dogs. And this particular one, we have a little extra entertainment for the troops over there. We have a high school steel drum ensemble coming down from Cumberland area. So it should be a good day, and they really appreciate it over there.
So the Marine Helping Marine program is primarily going to medical facilities to help Marines?
It goes directly to the Marines, and we give opportunities for them to participate in events. We don't give money to the medical facility itself. We'll help a Marine, like we did very recently. There was a Marine who has been, he has been discharged. Well, he's not really discharged, I guess he is, but he lives down in Charlottesville, Virginia, but has to come up to Walter Reed for physical therapy treatments. And as a young Marine, he's needed some financial help, and we help him out financially to reimburse him for his gas expense.
Okay, so it's not just Marines that are hospitalized, it's Marines who need assistance.
That's correct. Okay. We've done that. We got an offer recently from one of our detachment members up in Hartford. He owns a company. He's looking to hire a Marine. He wants some information. If there's a wounded guy, he'd particularly like to hire a wounded individual to come and work for him. And we'll pass that along too.
And then I'm on the board of directors of an organization called the Marine Corps League Foundation, which is somewhat broader in its scope than Marines Helping Marines. But if someone has a problem, they refer it to us, and we can, sometimes we don't have that much money, but we can make important contributions to people who are somehow down in their luck, and our Marines down in their luck. But one of the good things that all of these veterans organizations, particularly if you're new here in Bowie, automatically you suddenly are part of a group. You've got built-in friends. It's a hard thing to explain. I know my brother died he lived in Oregon, and he had moved to a place in Oregon, and he hadn't lived in the state before, and he only lived there a year, but he was a retired Army officer and active in the American Legion, and they did all the nice things at his funeral, and otherwise he'd been just a stranger in town. And also, I might emphasize too that all of the veterans organizations, we're not political, we're not religious, we're not sectarian, we don't recognize any color barriers. We all have our membership requirements, and anybody who fits into it is certainly welcome. If you've been in any branch of the service during time of war, you have the American Legion. If you served overseas in a time of war, you have the Veterans of Foreign Wars. If you've been hurt, and again, the DAV is not quite as restrictive. It's not just the legless and the armless. It's people who were hurt and were sick while they were in the service. And you don't need to have a claim. So if you think you're eligible, you probably are, and we'd love to have it. So these are the four organizations, and the Marine Corps League, again, is obviously former Marines.
One thing I would like to say is all the lady veterans who are watching, we welcome you to please come on out to the American Legion, to the VFW if you've served in have an occupational ribbon, or if you've been injured while you're on active duty, you're eligible for the DAV, and if you're a Marine, you can join the Marine Corps League, or if you want to be associated with Marine Corps League, you can be an associate member. And one compliment we've had, and Bob knows, at the VFW and at the DAV, because this is, we have the home, and I'm sure at JD at the Legion, we welcome ladies, and there's 2 or 3 ladies that have come and got active have complimented us of how this is one of the only places that they've attended that they really felt welcome. And we have, in fact, Megan is our junior vice commander, And then we had a young lady who was going through the chairs at the DAV, but due to her work, she had to drop out. But we welcome the female veteran to